Good Wednesday afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. And I just want to update you on how things are looking with our storm potential for this afternoon. The Storm Prediction Center now has the entire state of Indiana in an enhanced risk for severe. The low pressure to our west is tracking farther south, which increases the risk of rotating cells. As such, the tornado risk has also been increased by the Storm Prediction Center to 10 to 14%. That does include Madison County and Delaware County. Basically, all our abutting counties and counties to the west are in this slightly elevated risk for tornadoes. Damaging winds are the main threat at a 30 to 44% risk. I actually think the damaging wind risk is probably even higher than that. And then the hail risk also somewhat elevated, 15 to 29%. Again, if these cells can kind of stay isolated a little bit instead of becoming linear, they have a better chance to be hail producers. Once they become linear, with the low pressure spin out to the west, even though a lot of times a line will decrease your tornado risk, but in this case, the line is not going to minimize tornado risk. However, we still don't want to see very much in the way of isolated storms forming late this afternoon. Here's a look at the NAM 3K model. It's doing reasonably well. It's probably still a bit underdone, but the HRRR is really underdone. And here's about 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and you can see the HRRR begins to form this into kind of two segments of bowed line, one closer to the low pressure. Let me see if I can turn on the drawing tool here. So you're looking at, kind of one bowed area up here, and then the beginning of a second bow right here, kind of in between here where those two meet. We'll kind of want to watch where that develops, if it develops in this way. But this is what this particular model has. And then as we advance, here's by 4 p.m., it's got the line into western Indiana. 5 p.m., you can see how quickly it's moving it. By 5 p.m., it has a line blasting through right along the US 31 corridor down through Indianapolis, Greenwood, those areas, up through Noblesville. And then by the time you hit 6 p.m., it has blown it through. Again, you can see the bowed look to this line. If this is the way the storms come through, damaging winds will be the main threat, 60, 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds with this, as dynamics are really pretty good. Strong low-level jet for this time of year. So we'll keep an eye on this as this develops. The HRRR model never develops it into a line like this. It keeps them more broken up as cells. If that happens, the tornado risk is higher. The damaging wind threat becomes more localized. We'll have to see how that all develops. So last, we'll take a look at the radar out into Illinois, and you can kind of see why I opted with the NAM 3K model versus the HRRR. You got a little more of a bowed line segment out here and the leading edge of that, and then back here you can kind of see where the low spins, and there's a tornado warning out for a cell back there. And I actually was watching some video from a storm chaser that's down in that area, and the rotation on that cell was pretty good. So again, the closer to the low pressure, the better the rotation signature, the better rotation chances are going to be. And then we will watch the very rapidly developing line out here. Let me go back to my drawing tool. And you can see how quickly this area back in here is developing. That will begin to move into Indiana here in a couple of hours. So again, marginal or an enhanced risk for severe today. All modes of severe possible. Damaging winds, the main threat. Tornado probably secondary. Hail third. Some localized heavy rain with this as well. So some sort of a watch will probably come up later on this afternoon, severe thunderstorm watch or maybe a tornado watch, we'll see. But I would expect a watch to come up here in a little bit. And then we'll see how these storms develop as we get into the heat of the afternoon and these really begin to tap into more energy and that low pressure comes farther east. So this is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Depending on timing, if I'm out of work or not, I'll go live. If I'm out of work, if I'm not out of work, I'll still do my best to keep you updated.